That's fine.
Plus, you admit not to washing your hands. Which brings us to the biggest concern going on right now involving the NBA, NHL, and every other sport there is, Major League Baseball, Major League Soccer. Media has changed it all. Duffy, where do we start here? Cancellation of championship games. Hopefully they still have Selection Sunday and the tournament, but that's up in the air.
Well, as of now, it's just the Ivy League that canceled their tournament, so who cares? But, no, I mean, really.
Yeah, you're right.
Listen,
I wasn't going to watch it.
I feel for the guys, but you're going to send Yale off. We're going to find out. Somebody's going to lose in the first round, and that's the end of it. Okay, fantastic. It's interesting that the Ivy League is the one that pulled the trigger first because they're the ones that make the least amount of money. They don't care about athletics. They don't have athletic scholarships. You can see they legitimately care about the safety of their fans and employees of the arenas and their students. It's when you get to the big-time stuff, the ACC and the Big Ten and the SEC, who are going to profit off of these tournaments. Why are they waiting so long to do this stuff in places that are hotter beds than Massachusetts, where most of the stuff would have happened for the Ivy League?
I don't know. Jenna, are you worried about this?
I mean, I think it's unprecedented what we're seeing right now. And it's interesting, too, because we don't really know all that much about this virus in terms of the contagion point of how it spreads and things like that. We know it's obviously a huge issue, but people are now having to make the decision. And like you said, the Ivy League, they're not making a lot of money. I can see why they were able to pull the thread or pull out on doing something like this. But at the same point, I mean, these players, especially the seniors, I feel for them because they're not going to be able to play again. Their seasons are over. They had that chance at the NCAA tournament that they all work for, and then to have the rug pulled out from under them, that's tough.
Yeah, I feel really bad that they don't get to play basketball anymore when they go on to make $500,000 as doctors and stockbrokers.
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
Yeah, no, I got a buddy who's an Ivy League guy. He's living in a box outside. It's weird. It's a weird thing.
I get what you're saying, but this could be all across the nation in terms of them canceling conference tournaments. And when you look at that, in terms of that, would you want your season to end that quickly?
No, but I also don't want to spread what could be potentially a pandemic in America.
Then I think you don't have the fans there. I think if you want to make that decision, then you don't have the fans there, but you at least let the guys decide, hey, I want to play. I want to take on that risk.
Referees fly commercial. Doctors fly commercial. All of these people have one-on-one contact with these players, right? There are referees that live here in Rochester. There are referees that live in New York City. There are referees that live in D.C. Those people will have one-on-one contact with these kids, which are then going to go back to campus and potentially continue to spread it. Listen, I don't like it as much as anybody else doesn't like it, but it makes sense as to why you should do this. And I never get to play again might not be a good enough reason to keep this thing going.
I get that, but going off of that, what do you think then? Do you think that we should just blanket cancel conference tournaments?
I know I'm not smart, okay? I know that when it comes to medical
Is that
stuff,
on tape? Is that actually been recorded?
my wife is happy to tell anybody who's listening. No, but in all honesty, I know that I don't have answers to this. So if someone says I have experience and this is a bad idea and we should do this, I'm apt to listen to what they have to say.
I didn't do that. I just was curious because we've never seen this before.
I don't think we're going to run into the situation where we're concerned about sort of whether the games are played. I think they'll go to streaming. I think this will be done with streaming and then going to different locations to stream these games. But there is an economic factor where there are a lot of people that rely on the parking. They rely on the vendors. They rely on the hotel. They rely on the flying. They rely on all of that could take an economic turn for the worse.
Listen, you're 100% right. And I feel for those people that could miss paychecks. I feel for those people who rely on this thing as a once-a-year income stuff. But the counterpoint to that, the argument I just made about danger, those people that are working in the concession stands and taking parking money are 1,000 times more at risk to get sick than the folks that are there, right? I mean, again, it's an unprecedented thing, and it's uncomfortable because we're not used to it, because in this country, we prioritize sports way ahead of a lot of other things, right? Let's be real. What is this thing? It doesn't matter. It's an amateur basketball tournament.
Not at the money that they spend on it.
Well, then maybe it's not amateur anymore.
Yeah.
Which has been debated at this table many times before.